Hey, this is Kyle with ConvertKit, and in today's quick tip video, we're going to be taking a look at images in both landing pages and forms and how you can use those really effectively to make awesome looking landing pages and forms. So I've already got a landing page set up here, and I'm using the park template. This is a great template to look at just because it has both a background image and this image over here that's an image icon. So the difference between a background image and this image icon is that anywhere you see this image icon area, the image you put there is going to keep its proportion and it will always be fully visible. Whereas a background can scale as you change the size of the window. So I'm going to show exactly what I mean by that and put an image here. So just click on that, and over on the right side, you can see where you choose a file. You can either choose a file from your computer, or you can do something from Unsplash, for example, and just find an image there that works best for you. You can also connect directly with Instagram, which is what I've done here. So I'm just going to choose an image from my Instagram account. That will put it into the page template, and I'm ready to go as far as that image. So let me save this real fast, and we will go check out the live page. All right, so here's the live page, and it now includes that photo that I put in. And I'm gonna start scaling this and just show exactly how these images behave. So in the background, that sand that's there, you can see it's kind of cropping in on itself a little bit as I move this window. And as I keep going, you'll notice that it starts kind of cutting off the right side of that image. You can mostly see it here where these white specks are. As I go in with the window, it starts to go over those. So the background is intended to be just that. It's a background. And so you don't want anything with text or anything that has to always be visible back there, because since this page is responsive and it will change with different screen sizes and different resolutions, you just want to keep that background image as plain as possible. But this photo we put in, as you can see, it's kind of moving a little bit. It's changing size some, but it's keeping its proportions, and it's always visible. Even when we go down to the mobile view, you can always see that image. So if you ever see that little photo image icon, you can just select something to put there, and that will always keep its proportions just like this photo is. So now that we have this photo worked out, let's take a look at background images and exactly what you should be looking for with a background image. So in this example, we had that sand back here. I've removed it. What you're really looking for a background image is something that is low detail and low contrast overall. And there's some ways to work with a little bit higher contrast images, but for example, this Toyota SUV here, you can see the sky is pretty much white, and then you've got this dark metal and everything here. So if I were to choose that as a background image, you can see it makes the page really just busy looking, and it also obstructs this text. So it's a lot harder to read this text. That's not to say you can't use something that has detail in it, but the only way to really compensate for that is to make it less visible. So right below the background image options, you'll see this background opacity, and that's basically determining how much of this background image color comes into play. So if I went all the way down, we just have a solid color. If I went all the way up, we would only have the image. So you could lower this opacity down, and that helps the text to stand out more. It fades this into the backgrounds. You can still see it, but it's not so intrusive, and you're kind of lowering that contrast. It's not, on a technical basis, not lowering the contrast, but you can see here it's pretty vivid, and then here at lower opacities, it's a little less vivid and less intrusive. So that's one option for using something a little busier. But if you want a really good, clean background image, you can choose something that's specifically meant to be more of a background. So here in Unsplash, I'm just going to search for background. And if I search for background, there's some really great just general background images here. So for example, I could choose this one, and that just gives me some nice background texture going on. It's not super intrusive, and I can, again, even lower that opacity down again. If I made it all the way, opaque, I may want to just change this text. So this doesn't necessarily signify a bad background image. It may just be that your contrast with the text is a little off. So if I come in here and just make some quick changes to this text and make it darker, you can see it works pretty good with the background. I think personally I would still lower that opacity a little bit just to make it stand out just a little bit more. Just for one more quick example, let's take a look at a form. So this is the Charlotte form template. And this image on the left side, as you can see, this is not one of those image icon areas. So this image is technically a background. So you want to treat it more like a background. And this is a great way to introduce another concept, which is that backgrounds don't necessarily mean they're always behind something. It just means that as this form scales, it might change in size. So you don't want to put text over here on the left side at all. You definitely don't want to have that because it could crop it out as it scales for mobile and those kind of things. What you really want to have here is something that works with the theme of your form, but can be changed and altered and cropped and those kind of things. So this sunset is a great example, but let's even take a look at some other examples as well. So I'm just going to go into Unsplash again. It's a great way to find some stuff that works. I'm going to choose this bouquet here. And as you can see, that looks great in the form. Let me save that and let's take a look at the form and how it would scale. So here's the form live on a page. And as you can see, that bouquet is still there. It looks great. As I scale this window, which is helping you just see what it looks like at different widths of screens. And as we get down here, we start to get into mobile. And since the walls are closing in on it, so to speak, it's going to change around everything. So now it's popping that image to the top. But as you can see, this image works really great because we don't need to see everything. Like for example, the bottom of this bouquet, we don't have to see that. We don't even have to see the entire top of the bouquet to understand what exactly it is. So as I scale this, the bottom's cut off, the top is close to being cut off at some points, but it still gets the message across. So you're looking for an image that can help, convey the idea that you're trying to convey with your form, but you're not looking for something that has to always be fully visible. So I would avoid, in general, putting people into these images, for example. So that's about it. Hopefully this has helped you kind of think through those images a little differently and understand exactly how they'll perform. I would highly recommend opening up another page for your form or landing page and scaling it like I did in this video, just to see what happens and how does that look at different sizes. Make sure it looks good on mobile and other devices. And it's just a great way to check that as you're working. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.